What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back to Two Man Talk, where I help you become a strong, proud, and kind man. Today, I'm starting a new series on the channel called Curb Your Beta, where I help you become more alpha and more confident by kind of quelling the little idiosyncratic things about us that are keeping us from being more confident, more alpha, and being more successful in our lives. And today, we're starting that off with how to walk. How to hold yourself in position while you're walking, and how to be more confident while you walk. And we're gonna get to that right now. Oh, some good ass tea. Alright, so first off, we are gonna go to my man, Jordan Peterson, and his first rule from his first book, 12 Rules for Life, which is stand up straight with your shoulders back and your chest out. This displays confidence while we walk. Okay, so think about how you would look if you're walking without your shoulders back and your chest out. It's gonna kind of look something like this. Your shoulders are gonna be rolled forward, your chest is gonna be a bit hidden, your spine is gonna be slumped over, and you're gonna walk with the look of a defeated, a sad man. When we do something as little as taking a position, like having our shoulders back and our chest out while we walk, it can change so much fundamentally about how we feel about ourselves. And this is proven with our distant relatives, lobsters, as Jordan says most famously in that first rule. So you see, when lobsters encounter another alpha male lobster or an enemy in their territory, what they're gonna do is they're gonna put their claws up like this. And researchers found that when the lobsters do that and they're ready to fight, serotonin is flooded into their nervous system to make them feel more confident, to make them feel more alpha male. Now, the reason they knew to check for this is because lobsters and humans are distant relatives. And to prove this, they gave lobsters an antidepressant that's often prescribed to humans called Prozac, which will flood their brain with serotonin. And of course, they found out that the lobsters were also flooded with serotonin when they were given the Prozac. Further proof that they could relate the nervous system similarly to the nervous system of human beings. And researchers also found that when the lobsters were defeated by the other lobsters, their shoulders would round, their claws would round, and they would fall on their backs. And they would lose all of that serotonin production inside of their brains and their bodies. So gentlemen, doing something as simple as putting your shoulders back and your chest out while you walk can change so much about how you feel about yourself. And it's the very first fundamental way to curbing that little beta-ness about us when we walk out in public. Let's get to the next one. Okay, next up, we're gonna wanna talk about our hands and our arms and where they should be, how they should move while we're walking. First up, we're gonna talk about hand placement while we're walking. And this really depends, and there's a bunch of variables involved. So initially, while we're walking, a lot of people say don't put your hands in your pockets. It looks meek, it looks feeble, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it really depends on how you're walking and what you're wearing while you walk. So first, when it comes to jeans, if you have your hands in your pockets while you're walking, it is very meek, it is very feeble, because you have to see where the pockets are. It's forcing your shoulders to curve and go in front of you like this. This defeats the purpose of our first point of having our chest out and our shoulders back while we're walking. That gives us that confident, calm, cool posture. So remember that when you're wearing jeans and you're walking, don't put your hands in your pockets, because it's gonna make you shrug up, it's gonna make you be more compact, and you're not gonna feel nearly as good. Now, a quick disclaimer, if it's freaking cold out, then yeah, you're gonna wanna put your hands in your pockets no matter what. That's totally cool, forget this. If it's cold, your hands are freezing, yeah, dude, throw your hands in your pockets, who cares? Now, when you're wearing something different, a bit of a nicer pant, like a dress pant or a chino, then that's different because the pockets are placed on the sides, and you can easily slip your hands into the sides of the pocket and walk with that posture that we spoke about before. In fact, I think it looks really cool when guys are wearing suits and they're just chilling there with their hands in their pockets and they're able to walk confidently. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It looks really good. The only thing is that you lose a bit of balance when your hands are in your pockets. So be wary of that while you're walking. It can get a little odd. Now let's talk about where your hands should go if you're wearing a jacket. Now, if you're wearing a long jacket with pockets in the side, it's kind of the same thing. You can walk with a little bit of swagger with the hands in the pockets. Your arms can move a little bit with the hands in the pocket. But if you've got a bomber jacket on, it looks really odd when you have your hands in the sides of the pocket and you're walking like this. It looks pretty odd. It really defeats the purpose of having our shoulders back and our chest out in the first place. And it's kind of the same deal with the jeans. You have your elbows out and in like this, and it's not as much of a free position. It's not as much of a confidence-inducing position as it would be with a longer jacket with pockets on the side where we can move with the flow of the jacket. When it comes to these different pieces of clothing, of course, it really depends on what we're wearing and if our hands can go inside our pockets or not and still feel good while we're walking. But for the most part, we do want to keep our hands out of our pockets when we're walking as a rule. Now, all that being said, as a general rule, we don't really want our hands inside of any pocket while we're walking. It's okay from time to time, but if we want to look the most confident, the most badass, our hands need to be out of our pockets, and that's where our arms come into play. Now, when we're walking, what our arms need to be doing is they need to be at our sides, and they need to sway gently with the motion of our walk. We don't want to over exaggerate this. I see guys over exaggerate this and they look like Lanky Kong from Donkey Kong 64 as they're walking, and it doesn't look very good at all. It looks kind of like you're trying way too hard. So it's important to control the movement of our arms while we walk, gentlemen. It's important to control the movement of our hands while we walk. Now, as you get used to having your chest out and your shoulders back, as you get used to walking and the type of posture that you want to have while you walk, your arm movement is going to come with that. It sounds really complicated, but you're going to get a feel for it eventually the more you get used to having this kind of way of thinking while you're walking. Be sure not to overthink any of this. It sounds like it's super complicated. It sounds like there's so many little different things that you have to do in order to walk like a badass, but don't overcomplicate it for yourself. If all else fails, just remember to have your hands out of your pockets and to try to keep your arms flowing loosely with the flow of how you walk. That's the biggest thing. It's important to remember that what makes a man look most confident and most badass while he's walking is the looseness and the flow of how he walks. He doesn't look rigid, chest out, shoulders back like this, and walking like this. That can look absolutely terrible, as I'm sure you just saw. So remember that we want to be calm, cool, collected. We want to have a flow and an edge and a swagger to the way that we walk. But we want to have good posture. We want to make sure our hands are free and moving. We don't want to stuff them inside of pockets, and we don't want to round our shoulders in any way, shape, or form. That all being said, let's get to the last point of how to walk like an alpha male, like a badass. All right, gentlemen, last but not least, it's important to pick your feet the up. All right, so as many of you know, I used to be an electrician. I used to work on construction sites, and even back then, I would get so angry when dudes would walk around dragging their boots on the ground, not picking their feet up, and as you walk, you can hear their boots scraping the ground. It's like, dude, pick your feet up, man. If you don't want to be here, don't be here. It's so lazy. And of course, when you're stepping around, it happens sometimes. Your boot scrapes the ground, you didn't pick up your foot the full way. But people who do this consistently are lazy. People who do this consistently are depressed and sad, and they just don't know how to walk. They don't know how to carry themselves, and it's not a look that we want as confident men. This is the easiest part to gloss over because we never really think about it, because so many people are walking around very lazy, very lackadaisical, just scraping their feet on the ground, just getting by. You can think of this as a metaphor for life. So many people are just getting by, just dragging their feet on the ground, doing the bare minimum, but we don't want to be like that. We want to pick up our feet as we go. We want to walk with confidence. We want to better ourselves. And walking with flow, walking with confidence, walking with swagger is a huge part of us as men, making sure that we are not doing the bare minimum in life, that we are pushing forward to do more than the average dude, because we don't want to be the average dude. We want to be the best version of ourselves. And so picking up our feet when we walk is a great place to start, and it's easily overlooked. To mention, it's going to completely trash the bottom of your shoes. It's going to make you go through shoes like nothing else. So let's just pick up our feet when we walk for the betterment of ourselves and everyone else around us that doesn't have to listen to that annoying sound. That's it for this week's video, gents. Thank you for tagging along, watching with me, and learning a little bit on how to curve your inner beta. I know terms like beta and alpha are a little played out these days, completely overused, but they're a good way of explaining men in life who are lower on the totem pole compared to men who are higher on the totem pole, men who are more successful, men who feel better about themselves, men who are going to go farther in life than others who complain and blame and don't work on themselves. So again, I know it's a little played out, but they're good terms for describing a man that feels a lot better about himself, that doesn't care what other people think, and a man who's kind of secluded, down low, hunched up, rounded shoulders like we talked about earlier. If you love content like this, go down below and sauce me one of these bad boys. Smash that subscribe button for your man, and we will see you next week for another episode of Man Talk. Gentlemen, stay strong, stay proud, stay kind, and of course, always, always stay handsome.